Example 12 is going to be our first encounter with counting hands of cards, okay? So let's go ahead and read this. It says, from a standard 52 card deck, how many 6-card hands consist entirely of clubs? Okay, I'm actually going to keep reading through the first few of these just so you get an idea of the kinds of questions being asked. All right, so in part B, how many 5-card hands consist entirely of face cards? And then in part C, we have how many 5-card hands consist entirely of queens? And then finally in part D, how many 7-card hands contain 4 kings? Okay, so like I said, these types of problems involve counting the number of hands of a certain size that meet some kind of characteristic. Okay, so before we start solving these, okay, there is something that I want to show you, okay, and I want you to remember that these problems involve hands of cards, okay. So I found this online, okay. There is this playing cards generator that I found, okay. So remember how a hand of cards works. Okay, so say you're playing cards maybe with a group of friends, and so there's 52 cards in the deck. So they are all placed face down, okay? And then someone shuffles the deck, so all the cards are mixed up, and we don't know what order they're in, okay? And then they're dealt out to all the people. So everyone's going to get the same hand size, okay? So you might get maybe, I think in example A, we were doing 6-card hands, okay? So maybe everybody gets 6 cards each, okay? So the cards are dealt out, everyone gets 6 cards. You don't know what you get until you look at them because everything is handed out face down, okay? So then, you pick up your hand and you look at what you've been dealt and then you start playing the game, okay? So what this playing cards generator does, I can actually generate a hand from a 52 card deck. If you look at the conditions down here at the bottom, okay, I chose a 52 card deck, okay, and I've got all the suits checked so that way all the cards in the deck are involved, okay, and I can generate any size hand that I want. But like I said, part A starts with a 6-card hand, so I'll just kind of mimic that. Okay, so I'm going to scroll here and change the hand size to be 6, okay, and then I'm going to hit generate, and it's just going to, deal me a 6-card hand, okay. Unfortunately, we got the joker in the first one, and we don't consider the joker, so I'm going to regenerate this to see what I get. Okay, so here we go. This is the 6-card hand that I have been dealt, okay. So imagine this is you. You are sitting there playing a game of cards, and you just got this 6-card hand dealt to you, okay. Now I want you to think about the hand of cards in this way, okay. So nobody knows your cards except for you, okay. So if you decided to, depending on the game you're playing, sometimes it's easier to to play the game and process your next move if you rearrange the cards so that they're in some kind of order, so maybe like ascending order. So like if you're dealt this, you might take the cards and rearrange the order to put them in ascending order. So you might put the 3 first, and then the 8, and then the 9, and then the jack, and then both of the aces. Okay, so it's easier to read your hand. Okay, so think about it this way. If you rearrange these cards just so that they're easier to read, okay, it doesn't change which cards are in your hand, okay? Rearranging the cards, you still have the same 6 cards in your hand, okay? So what this tells you is changing the order of the cards in your hand does not change the hand you've been dealt. So any hand of cards is a combination, okay? That is really, really important to doing these problems, okay? One more time, if you've been dealt a hand of cards, okay? If you reorganize those cards and change their order so that they're easier to read, that does not change the cards in your hand. You still have the same hand of cards, okay? So order is irrelevant. That makes any hand of cards a combination, okay? So if we go back to the notes, we need to keep in mind, and I'm going to write this at the top, that any hand of cards, so I'll put up here, hand of cards is a combination. We will eventually get to a situation involving playing cards where it won't be a combination, okay, and we'll get to that. But what I need you to remember, if you are dealing with a problem with a hand of cards involved, it is going to be a combination, okay? All right, so let's start with part A, okay? It says from a standard 52 card deck, how many 6-card hands consist entirely of clubs, okay? So we've been dealt a hand of cards, okay? And what did I just tell you? If you're dealing with a hand of cards, it's going to be a combination, okay? Imagine the random generator that I just showed you, okay? You've been dealt a 6-card hand, just like the one I showed you, okay? But the restriction on this particular hand of cards is that it's got to consist entirely of clubs, okay? So what's going to happen here, we know the way combinations work and permutations do as well. So you're going to be choosing from some greater set, okay? So your greater set here would be the entire deck of cards, okay? You would be choosing from that greater set and you're picking a subset. So you would be picking a 6-card subset of the original deck here, okay? So this is going to be a combination, okay? We're choosing 6 cards, okay? The thing is, 52 does not go here, even though there's 52 cards in the deck, okay? Because we have this restriction that the hand we're after has to consist entirely of clubs, okay? If we were to do this, and I'm actually going to do this and talk about this combination and compare it to the actual answer, what this is doing, okay, this 52 is signaling to you that you are picking from the entire deck of cards. And so you're choosing 6 cards at random from the entire deck. So when you do this combination, and we'll go calculate that in a second, this is the number of possible 6-card hands. Okay, this is the number of all the possible 6-card hands. So if I go back to my generator, okay, this hand would be counted in that combination, okay? In part A, we're trying to figure out how many 6-card hands there are that consist entirely of clubs. And this hand that I've been dealt certainly does not fit that bill, okay? Because definitely we only have 1 club here, okay? We're looking for 6-card hands that only have clubs, okay? Can't have any other suits, okay? So what we're doing when we say 52 choose 6 is we're counting the number of all possible 6-card hands with no restrictions, okay? So if I go to the calculator and I figure this out, and we're going to do 52 choose 6, okay? This is going to tell us the number of 6-card hands that are possible. Okay, so I'm going to go write this down. Definitely, this is not the answer to the question we're trying to solve, but I want to talk about this. Okay, so this answer is, let me write it down. Okay, so let me put some commas in here. All right, so there are 20,358,520 possible 6-card hands. Okay, so we're looking at this restriction. We still want to deal with 6-card hands, but they can only contain clubs. So we expect the number of hands that meet this criteria to be much less than this number, okay? All right, so let's talk about how you would actually do this, okay? You're still going to have a hand of cards, okay, and it's still going to be a 6-card hand, okay? So it's still going to be a combination where we're choosing 6. But to keep in line with this hand consisting entirely of clubs, we're not going to be choosing from the entire deck. We're only going to be choosing from the clubs, okay? So if we flip back to our cards, our picture of our cards, okay, we can only choose from these cards, the clubs, okay? We're picking from these guys, okay? That way we're ensuring we don't get a spade, we don't get a heart, we don't get a diamond, okay? So remember, each suit contains 13 cards. There's 13 clubs, okay? So we're actually picking from a set of 13 clubs and we're choosing 6 of them, okay? So this is how you're going to compute this. So now I'm going to go to my calculator, okay, and I'm going to do 13, choose 6, okay? So I get 1,716, okay? That is going to be the number. Well, actually, I'll do it like this. I'll keep it in line so you can compare it to the top number. Okay, so this is going to be the number of 6-card hands consisting entirely of clubs. All right, so that's how you do a problem like this. Instead of choosing from the entire deck, you're going to restrict the greater set, okay? We're going to be pulling from only the clubs and choosing 6 of those, okay? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at part B.